Alright, hello and welcome back to my real-time strategy tutorial in Unity. Today we're going to be starting to sort of stitch together the AI of the game. Basically what that means is we're going to have a script that has stats on the faction that it's attached to, so things like how many workers we got free, how many workers we got gathering each resource, and so on and so forth. And we're going to use this information to make decisions about, like, should we go attack? Do we have the resources to do, to attack another player or the actual player or whatever, stuff like that. So I'm just going to quickly show you a demo of this script in action. So you'll see that I've just started up, so I've not actually executed anything yet. And you'll see that by this faction AI script on the right of the screen, we've got a number of workers free, a number of workers gathering resources. If there are workers gathering resources, how many are gathering each? Can we create workers? And can we create soldiers? So I'm just going to show you that in action. So as you'll see, the AI has kicked off and started making decisions. So it's looking for a decision it can make. It's tried to make a building. So you'll see that they will go and create this building. And then in a minute, because they're building the storehouse, then they should go and gather some resources. So you'll see now that they're free, but once they reach the wood, there are workers gathering resources and they are gathering wood, and you get the idea. So you don't need to see like a full thing of them going round because it's not fully implemented yet, because that'll be over the next couple of weeks. So let's have a look at how it works. Okay, so first off, just a quick thing. I've implemented building actions, or edited building actions for creating hoplites and archers so that they can be used by the AI, and fixed a little bug of where the AI would get any timer reductions that the player had researched. So basically, see here we're on the create hoplite. So we do if this get component faction identifier is false. So we're saying this is an action attached to a player's building, so we use the player's resources and stuff. Otherwise, we use the start action, just to start it for the AI, which doesn't actually use resources yet. So that'll come in the next episode, I think. And then again, similar to the work decision create worker AI. No, that's not the building action. Sorry, getting confused because we needed decisions as well to do this. So basically we are checking for a faction identifier and adding it to the respective unit list and adding a faction identifier if applicable. And again, we got a similar thing in the can we do, and you get the idea. I explained it last time. And a similar thing for the for the archers. Another thing that sort of relates to this, but is a new script, but is similar to the decision create worker is, well, as you can see here, this is the decision we create worker, but we also got a decision create hoplite and decision create archer, and there are only a few little differences here. One is that the script at the top, building action that it's attached to, or it has the building action that it creates, is different. So it's for create hoplites for hoplites, create archers for archers. And instead of checking for a temple, we check for a barracks. And if we can't do this, we build a barracks instead of a temple. So and that is pretty much identical for archers, except building action create archer instead of building action create hoplite. Okay, so I'll just give you a quick glance over these. You can see there, can we build buildings? Action, etc. Okay, faction controller also has that's not the right script. Cheers. Faction, sorry. Faction has this new faction AI, my AI, which is initialized in the initialize function, same as every other faction script. And and finally, for the alterations, I believe from it. Oh no, there's two more. Sorry, I keep clicking on the things I probably shouldn't show you, but whatever. Unit health now has check. If it got a faction identifier, if it doesn't have a faction identifier, it'll remove it from the players list. Otherwise, it will find out what type it is based on the unit script that's on it. So if it's hoplite, archer, or worker, it will remove it from the game object's faction identifiers. It removes it from the correct faction list of whatever unit type it is. And that's what that section of code does. That we needed. Unit health, sorry, I've completely blanked. AI unit store, I believe. Yes, but I'll do that in a separate section. Okay, one more little change is that we've added a is reserved boolean to the unit master class. This is just to mark units that have been taken for specific tasks. So say if we needed a constant supply of food, that they would be marked as is reserved. So if the AI wanted to build a building, it wouldn't use that worker. So yeah. And finally, on the last alteration we made was the AI unit store, which now has a large number of methods, which I will basically go over now. First off, returns the list of game objects is get free workers, which, as the name implies, it gets free workers. So it goes through all the workers in the faction, and if it has no actions to be executed and isn't reserved, then it'll reserve the unit and add it to this list that it returns, and then you'd apply an action to all these workers and whatnot. This needs to be implemented for the decisions, so I'll have to do that in the next episode. And similarly, we have an overload of that method called the get free workers, which basically does the same, but if you only need a certain amount of workers, then it will return the list after it's reached that number, or it reaches the end of the actual workers list, whichever comes first. Okay, and get free archers does the same, but for the archers, get free, and yeah, again, we've got a numbered version, so if you need a specific amount of archers, and again, we've got for the hoplites. Finally, we've also got a number of workers free, which basically goes through the list of workers and counts the number of workers that are not performing an action and are not reserved, and returns that number. Number of workers doing an action, you pass in an action, say resource gathering, building a building, whatever, and it will return the number of workers doing that action. And finally, we've got workers gathering resource, because the actual action for workers for gathering resources is just on a resource gather for all resource types. So I had this instead to work out how many workers were gathering a specific resource by passing in the resource, and then checking if the worker has an AI gather resource action attached to it, and if it does, then it will increase the count of, and if it does have a component and it's gathering the correct resource, then it will increase the count and return that number. Okay. All right, and finally, we're on to the sort of last script that I've mentioned earlier. It's the faction AI, which again we saw initialized in the faction script here. Basically, what this does is it's got the brain of the AI, so it gathers these stats like I showed you in the demo before. So this is done through a coroutine, which basically works out the values. So every 5 seconds, it will call all those methods from the AI unit store that I showed you. So get number of workers free, work out numbers of workers doing an action, of gathering resource for each of the gathering resources, and yeah, we do that every 5 seconds because we don't need frame by frame updates. That's just expensive, so we only do it once every 5 seconds, and that's fine for what we need. And once it reaches the end of that 5 seconds, it'll call itself again, so it's running recursively until infinity until you start the program, basically. And we also got a second coroutine called Decision Maker. This is basically where we're going to be working out stuff. So this will be expanded upon in the next 3 episodes to cover a basic sort of AI that can play the game. It won't be very good because this is just a tutorial series, but you can expand on it for whatever kind of behavior you want. So first off, it checks like, can we create workers? You know, because creating new people is kind of the base of an RTS. You know, you need them to build food, gather, build, build buildings, and gather resources. So this is the first criteria that we try and do. So if we can't do that, we say, all right, we'll say, all right, to the faction, to the decision maker, we want to create a worker. And thanks to all that decision training we've implemented in the previous episodes, that is the only thing we need to say. All right, once we've said that, and it'll work out what it doesn't have, and then work around that. So it'll build the storehouse, farm, temple, whatever, you know, and some houses, you name it. It'll build all that. And once it's done that, we'll say, all right, do we have any capacity to build soldiers? So in fact, it'll say, all right, we're creating a unit for. If we don't, so if we don't have a barracks or enough population or whatever, it'll do the same thing for the hoplites. And yeah, so by the time it's finished executing all of this, it'll have a barracks, a temple, storehouse, farm, couple of houses, stuff like that. And that's when we'll move on to what we're implementing next week. So say economy. So it'll be like, I don't know, I'll think of the algorithm for it, but we want to try and have it so it can increase exponentially. So based on like, say how much resources we have or whatever, you know, something like that. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. And this is just how it works out, whether it can create workers or not. So the condition is if we've got a temple either built or in the decision queue to be built. So that'd be true. And the same for the barracks. So yeah, sorry this might be a bit short and rushed, but it was either do 3 shorter episodes or 1 massive episode. And I don't really like doing long episodes because chances are I'll forget something or, you know, it takes long to make and yeah, so I don't like that. So yeah, this is just the startup for our AI. I'm not going to do another demo. You can just go back to the start and watch it because it's fairly boring. It's just watching the numbers go up on the fucking counter to show that we can get information about the AI's faction. But yeah. So cheers for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that shit. Loud or Quiet is... Well, go download that. We did the arcade mode update a couple of weeks back. That's good shit. Got like a little Pacific Northwest town that you can rob and try to explore and find all the dark secrets of the people hidden there. So yeah, what else? Yeah, go check out the stuff on itch.io. Links will be in the description. And apparently Steam Greenlight's dead, so I might be able to get Loud or Quiet on Steam now. Maybe. Anyways, bye.